Hello guys and welcome to Painting Panzers. My name's Christian and today I'm going to be taking you through how I paint my 172 US Paratroopers. Now for those of you that are eagle-eyed, you'll be able to tell that this is a 172 Italeri /esci US airborne figure, and we have been covering a lot of those toy soldiers recently. The last toy soldier that we painted was the 172 US Infantry from Revel, which was a really fun tutorial, so if you haven't checked that out, please go and do so. Now this figure, as I said, is from the old esci sculpts, so this particular review is boxed using the old esci box set, but the figures in there are really nice, and you know, they're probably some of the better plastic figures. So to start off with, I'm going to be giving my figure a prime of Tamiya's Surface Primer, a light grey. And then I'm going to follow up that with a coat of US Field Drab for that M42 uniform. Now I'm taking a lot of inspiration from Band of Brothers, which I pretty much say always when I'm painting any US airborne figure, just because I absolutely love the TV series. It's probably in my top 2 all-time favourite World War II films / TV series. I like to include them both in there because World War II movies and TV shows are normally just good to be put together, I think. So then for the reinforced padding on his knees there, I'm going to be using US dark green, as well as painting his helmet in that colour, and if he had a bazooka or some grenades or maybe some ammunition boxes, that kind of thing, I'm going to be painting that in the exact same colour too. So here we go, I'm just painting the helmet as well, just to show you that that helmet's getting a good coat. Now for the webbing on this guy, I'm going to be using khaki. So he's got quite a bit of webbing on him. He's got his water bottle, he's got his cross straps there as well, he's got his shovel, he's got some Thompson pouches as well at the front there. He's also got a knife just on his boot there with a bit of strapping just going across his leg. Now for his boots, I'm going to be painting them in mahogany brown, so they're his jump boots. Don't paint the soles of the boots in this colour. I mean, you can do, we can go over it easily enough. They're going to be in more of a black colour. Just paint the boots in mahogany brown, as well as his chin strap. So I'm just going to be getting his chin strap there, and some of these models have the chin strap going over the top of the helmet too, so just take that into consideration when painting the helmet. Now for the metal areas on this figure, I'm going to be using black grey. So this guy's obviously got a Thompson, so the bulk of this submachine gun is metal, so just make sure you're capturing all that. It's actually really well detailed. These old esci sculpts are actually fantastic for their time. I'm also painting the water bottle lid in that colour, as well as the soles of the boots and the bayonet, part of the bayonet as well, or the knife that's in the bottom there. Now for the wood, I'm going to be using flat earth. So we can see it's got a foregrip here that we're going to be painting in that, and then we can also see that I'm painting the shovel and any other parts of wood that you can see on him, as well as the handle of the knife. So getting a lot of use out of this flat earth. And then finally, I'm going to be using burnt umber for his knife sheath. But yeah, you can use any sort of colour like that brown sort of leathery colour. I think works pretty nicely for that. Now to wash the figure, I'm going to be using null oil and technical medium from Citadel or Warhammer. I think it's called Lafmir medium, and I'm pretty much putting it at a 1-to-1 ratio, maybe a touch more null oil, and it's just going to thin that wash down nicely, and you're going to be able to apply that wash, making sure that the bulk of the wash is going into all the grooves and such, and not just resting on the flat surfaces. Now with that done, I'm going to go to US Field Drab and Iraqi Sand at a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you're a long time watcher of my channel, you'll see that this step is completely different to what I usually do. And I really wanted to emphasize the quickness that you can paint these in if you skip a few steps. So I've gone straight to this. So this is my layer / highlight. So I'm doing it all in one now, guys. So I'm literally just leaving that washed base color in the recesses, and everything else is getting a coat of this color. And you can see how much that brings the uniform to life with that US Field Drab and Iraqi Sand combination at that 1-to-1 ratio. It really does give you that really nice D-Day M42 looking uniform. So with that uniform all done and the figure already looking fantastic, we can go over the webbing with khaki and stone grey at a 1:1 ratio. And you can see with these Thompson patches, I'm literally just adding in a line on the top and each side, and then obviously where the top of the patch, so I'm just adding in a little bit of detail there. And then there's a little few grooves and such in these cross straps on the webbing, so I'm just painting those. And you can see that that khaki stone grey combination really does bring that webbing to life because it's just a little bit lighter. So for the reinforced padding there, I'm going to be using US olive drab and German camo beige World War II at a 1:1 ratio, and I'm pretty much painting the whole patch again, unless there's a few little grooves and such, and the very outer edge I'm leaving in that darker colour. But these are already sculpted on, so it's really easy to paint. It's not something you just have, you've painted on yourself. So for the medal, I'm going to be using black grey and basalt grey at a 1:1 ratio. Now I'm going to be going with 2 layers on this step. So this is the first layer, and this is just to brighten the bulk of the metal areas on this Thompson. And then we're going to go ahead and give it a final highlight in a minute where we can just focus on those raised edges. You can see that I'm just picking out all the details there. And then finally, I'm going to be going over it with basalt grey, and I'm just picking out all those little areas. So just a little line on each end of the magazine, a little line across the body there, and where the iron sight is at the top there. So this is a highlight, this isn't a layer, this is definitely a highlight, because I'm just picking out some of those raised areas to give it that bit of a shine. See a little bit on the top of the lid of that water bottle. And yeah, you're laughing, easy done. Then we're going to repeat that process with the wood. So we're using flat earth and orange brown at a 1:1 ratio. So just mixing it in on your palette nicely and just scratching in some of that colour, and then following it up with just orange brown on its own. Obviously you don't want to start with just orange brown because it is very orange, and it just makes the wood look a little bit too bright and a little bit too unrealistic. But if you scratch in that orange brown with flat earth mixture, you can then transition to the lighter colour, and it just looks a little bit more natural. You can see I'm giving the shovel a go there as well. Now for the helmet scrim, I'm going to be dry brushing German camo beige World War II over the top of it, and it is just a dry brush. The actual netting is sculpted on there. It's not very good in terms of compared to the rest of the model, but you can just make out the netting there. Then for the flesh, I'm going to be using light flesh from AK Interactive. So we've switched from Vallejo paints to AK Interactive. Vallejo do equivalent ranges. I think I've painted a few of them in a few of my figures recently in Vallejo paints, maybe 4 or 5 videos ago, maybe even more, but I have done it if you want to check those out. And then burnt umber and orange brown whilst that flesh paint dries, just to give that sheath a layer of a brighter colour. Then flesh wash for the skin. That's going to go in all the recesses, so in the eye sockets, around the nose, around the ears, mouth, fingers, etc. And using a very old but fine brush, and this wash is actually from Vallejo. Now I'm going over the flesh again in light flesh, so I'm pretty much picking out all the details. So I'm picking out the chin and the cheeks underneath the eye sockets and just around the lips, but I'm joining the chin and those 2 cheeks together, the nose, and across the top of the forehead there. Then I'm painting a little bit on the ear and around his neck. You see, I'm just making sure I'm getting all the details in there, because sometimes the face and that really does make the model look even better. You can see I'm focusing on each individual fingers that's been sculpted on there. And then I'm going to finish it with a light flesh and highlight flesh at a 1:1 ratio. And this is where I'm going to pick out the cheeks, the nose and the chin, but I'm not going to join them together. So I'm doing a little bit of each cheek underneath the eye socket, a little bit of the chin, a little bit of the nose, a little bit of the ear and a little bit of the neck, just a little line here and a little line there, just to make them stand out, but not putting too much on that where you're going to make him look super pale and look like he needs a bit of a tan. You can see I'm picking out each individual finger there and just adding a little bit of detail on the hand, but not too much. Then I'm going over the chin strap with mahogany brown and German camo beige World War II at a 1:1 ratio, and I'm just adding in some of those nice details there. Doing the same with the boots as well. The boots have actually got some really lovely details on them, so yeah, definitely try and capture those if you can. Now I want to add a 101st Airborne decal to this model, so I've cut off my decal and I'm going to be applying it to his arm here. So I let it soak in water for just a short while, honestly very short while indeed. This is a District Miniatures decal, so it doesn't need much time at all. It's a fantastic medal, sorry, decal, not medal. And I'm just aligning it now, still with just using water to move it around and such. And then after a few minutes, I'm going to come along with a cotton bud and hopefully soak up the bulk of that water, making sure to just give it a bit of a press to make sure there's no water trapped underneath that decal. And once I've done that, I can then move to micro sol. So this is a setting solution. It's going to help to conform to the surface. So I'm going to apply some of that, just using a brush, just adding in a little blob of it over the top of that decal. And then once I've left it for a few minutes, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it with the cotton bud like I did before. Now, if you want to get these decals, you can find them at District Miniatures under the 20mm selection. Go to US, I'm pretty sure it's like the top third one in the list there, and you can see we've got the divisional patches. You can do the 82nd Airborne and all others too. And then that's how he's come out. He's actually come out an absolute treat. This is probably my favourite Italeri / esci range so far. I think I said that in all my videos, but this is just an absolute treat. So there we have it, guys. He is finished. Absolutely loved painting him. I think he's come out really well. There's very little flash left on here, which is surprising for these types of miniatures. They normally don't clean up as well as like my metals and other plastics that we've got from other companies, especially because the plastic on these are a little bit softer. But yeah, come out really nicely. Please do let me know in the comments section what toy soldiers you want me to paint next in this scale. Some of you have said some modern, and that is going to be coming very soon. I've got some models in my in my stash, so I'll definitely get to them. Now, a massive thank you needs to go out to MJ Toy Soldiers, otherwise known as Murray, on Instagram. I did an SOS call for some spare models and he kindly obliged, so please go give him a follow and check out some of his work. He's been putting out some great cowboys as of recent times. Now, again, as always, I've got to thank my Patreons and YouTube channel members, and especially those Panzer Racers. So that's Patrick, Oscar, Panzer Jim, Colin, James, Lack of Foresight Gaming, Mike, and Mikey, as well as my new one, Eric. Thank you so much for joining the membership program, as well as becoming those Panzer Aces. So yes, really appreciate it. Alright guys, I'm going to leave it here. Don't forget to let me know in the comment section what you want to see next. Like, subscribe, and I will catch you at the next one.